The first one we want to look at is content. So content's a capability which underpins all of our ArcGIS applications. Gone are the days when we used to have to email each other, hopefully gone are the days when we're emailing each other to ask for countries.shape or forest.shape to do the base data that we then layer our own information on top of. A huge amount of work has gone in globally within Esri, within Eagle, but also within New Zealand in terms of the open data community to make data sets available that can be easily consumed and brought into your applications without having to do data management on them themselves. Content goes beyond base maps into living layers and also analysis capabilities. To give us an update on what's new and coming in the content space, I want to pass across to Boudewijn.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so the Living Atlas, basically what it is a catalog of data sets, but also maps and apps. And they are authoritative, they're curated by Esri and ourselves for the New Zealand area. And they cover a wide variety of topics. Also, your organization can contribute to the Living Atlas as well by nominating authoritative data sets that you manage and own. By nominating them to Living Atlas, they'll be curated and they can end up in Living Atlas, making it easier for other people to find and use those data sets. I just want to quickly go over a couple of things that are new in the Living Atlas, and especially with the focus on New Zealand. And the first layer that I want to cover is the land cover dataset. And that's a dataset from Manaki Whenua that we've added to the Living Atlas last year. And this holds all of the datasets from the late 90s to 2018. And what this layer has is a lot of legend items. And what we do with content as well is we look at what new capabilities come available in ArcGIS, and we will use that for our content products as well. So one of the things that is new is that you can now group legend items. So instead of having a long list of items, we can group them by categories, making it easier to view. And that is something you can do with your own items as well. And especially useful if an item has a lot of these legend items. Then on the boundary layer, so also last year we changed the way that we deliver these. So we had data sets for each boundary layer for each year. And basically what we've done is we've now got one current layer and an archive layer. And that archive layer, you can find the data set of the year that you need by just setting a filter or using the timeline. And the current one, we will make sure that it's up to date. So if you just need the latest boundary layer, just use that one in your maps. Should make it easier. Stats New Zealand, they have also changed the way that they publish the boundary layers. So they used to publish them every year, but there weren't always changes. So what they are doing now is they're only updating them if there are actual changes. So what that means for 2024 is that basically all of the layers from 2023 are still valid, except for the mesh blocks. And you can find all these layers in Living Atlas, obviously. Then to stay with data from Stats New Zealand, what we've done as well is for the Census 2018 data, we took all of the data, all of the variables, and made them available in the geo-enrichment layer from Esri. And that allows you to use a simple geoprocessing tool, Enrich, either in ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Pro, to enrich your polygon features with any of the variables from that census. But it's also available in Business Analyst and Community Analyst for your analysis there. And of course, as the 2023 data will come available, we will be working with Esri to make sure that they become available in that layer as well. A new layer that we've published, we just made it available last week, are the contours. So this is a vector tile layer that is currently in beta. And what we're doing is we're creating a 10-meter interval layer at the moment from all of the 1-meter elevation data that is available and using the lens contours for the areas that we don't have the high accuracy elevation data. We've got two styles, so it should work with most base maps, a light and a dark style. Still undergoing R&D, so we're looking at the best way to process this, so we're very keen on feedback. So I wouldn't advise to use this in production maps just yet. But we are very keen for you to have a look at it and provide us with feedback on the styles, but also maybe the processing. Is this what you expect if you were to use this in your maps? What we've done with this one as well is something that we call multi-source layers. And it's something that you can do with your vector tiles as well. So basically what we are doing, what we've done with this layer is we've created one style layer that is using our base map vector tile data and the contours vector tile data. So in a map you can layer them and the contours will be drawn on top of all of the features in there. What you can do with this multi-source is basically create one style layer and merge the contour layers inside that base map. So instead of it being draped on top of everything, we can put it under the roads, under the buildings, but on top of everything else. And it is something that you can do with your vector tiles as well, including, and then in combination with our base maps, for example. All right, let's go to imagery. Because imagery has become very, very important. We can see it in the number of usage on our imagery base map, for example. But there's so much more, as in there's satellite data, the aerials from airplanes, or other sources like drones. And when it comes to imagery, we are actually quite spoiled, both in ArcGIS, but also in New Zealand. Because in ArcGIS you have access to satellite data from Sentinel and Landsat, and you have access to the full archive of the multispectral imagery just by dragging it into your projects. If you need better resolution, we can provide you with Maxar data, either the multispectral imagery or a ready-to-use base map layer that you can just add in as a base map layer. Then another source that can complement the public available imagery is imagery from Nearmap. And Nearmap provides 6 centimeter resolution or better over 14 different urban areas in New Zealand, updated once or twice a year. And then finally, all that imagery that is available, that is flown by councils, made available by LINS, that's all at our fingertips. And LINS has made it even easier for us to access all of that imagery by adding it to a public S3 bucket. And I think that's great, because we've seen ArcGIS interacting with cloud storage in a very easy way over the last couple of years, and now we see the data being available in there as well. So that combination really works. So we're starting to use this in our content workflows, creating the base maps, not having to download the imagery anymore. And we thought that it might be useful to create a couple of story maps that describes the workflows of connecting to that data, managing it, using it for, to create image surfaces, create base maps, maybe from some historic imagery that is available, and all in a story map collection that should guide you into how to use that. And you can find that in the content hub that I'll talk about in a minute or so. All right, then GeoAI. So both Esri and Eagle, we publish deep learning packages that make it very easy for you to get started with deep learning. And we get a couple of presentations on that later today as well, very interesting. So one of the packages that was released was the segment anything model from Meta. And Esri actually joined that with another package, Grounding Dino, that allows you to not just segment anything, but segment anything that you gave it a text clue for. So for example, airplanes or circular objects. So that's real powerful and ready to use, even if you don't have a GPU in your machine. You can just go to ArcGIS Online and use that package. For the New Zealand models, we tend to train them on New Zealand data, just because New Zealand is a little bit different than other places in the world, for example, when it comes to trees. What we also do is make sure that there's a how-to available for all of those deep learning packages. So again, you can go to the Content Hub and find those how-tos in how to get started with deep learning packages. So that Content Hub is where we try to bring all the information about the content that's available in New Zealand together, but also add story maps on the how-to, so how-to on imagery, elevation, and GeoAI. So I invite you all to visit this. It's available at content.eagle.co.nz and see if there's anything that you can use in your work. Thank you, and with that we go back to you, Scott.